Hello and welcome to another cannabis industry news show with myself and Katya Kowalski from Volteface. We've got lots coming up in today's show. We're going to be talking about the APPG for medical cannabis on prescription meeting. We're going to be talking about Czech legalization updates. We're going to be talking about new ownership at Lyphe Group here in the UK. We're going to be talking about the MCPA's recent industry meeting, which they did. We're just talking about 4C Labs and their new strains. We're going to talk about Kanabo. We're talking about the Swiss pilot, the Dutch pilot, and we might get time to mention the US. That is a lot on today's show, Katya.
Yeah, we're gonna have to whiz through it, like, quick top lines on everything.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good, good. Happy to be jumping right into industry news. It's been a while. It's been a month, I think.
It's been a yeah,
Long
we have a
Christmas
Christmas, didn't we?
period and yeah. But yeah, excited to get going.
APPG.
Yeah, let's go straight into it. Yeah, so yesterday we had our first APPG members meeting of the year. Was yeah, really, really positive, excellent turnout from a whole bunch of cross-party MPs. There were not enough seats in the room at one point, which is always a good sign. So yeah, strong start to the year. We had some great speakers from Liverpool John Moores University talking about their recent qualitative study into the experiences of cannabis patients. And Ananda Developments also did a presentation on their clinical trial development around CBD for a couple of conditions. Um, so yeah, really excited to just continue working towards what we've been building. And a lot of the work that we're doing at the APPG is really focused around awareness raising. So yeah, excited to see how we can bring in more support from patient groups, more support from private healthcare groups. And yeah, I think you mentioned this yesterday, Paul, but I think yesterday's meeting really shows that there is a growing interest and support for medical cannabis in Parliament, especially in terms of it kind of becoming less and less controversial, especially when people sit down and just, hear evidence, hear about the experiences that patients are having. I think it's kind of a no brainer.
How could you not support? So we had some staff for a new MP in the room, and they were hesitant before, thinking, "Oh, we're not really sure about cannabis. Like, I'm not, it's a bit controversial." In the meeting, they were like, "Yeah, that's the least controversial discussions we've ever heard. Like, how could anyone not support that? It makes complete sense." And there was new MPs in the room. There's new people in the room, so there was a lot to be positive about. Frustrating as well, though, because obviously at these meetings we always hear the incredible frustrations that parents are facing and all the challenges which we care deeply about. But there was a lot of positivity and positive action, wasn't there? So
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we
good
will keep you
meeting.
posted on the next one and any important developments.
Yeah. Next up, the Czech Republic legalization updates. We're flagging this now just to let people know that we know about it and we've seen some really interesting stuff. We've got Lucas coming on next week on the show to give us a on the ground update of what's happening in the Czech Republic. There's a really interesting article in Business of Cannabis Business Can, which talks about this and has some interesting quotes in there, insinuating that perhaps the rollback on commercialization of the industry was a ploy, a hell of a risky ploy. Look forward to speaking to Lucas about it next week. But we're going to have Lucas on the show. Catch and I are really going to get into it, but I don't know if
But
that's
yeah,
my chair
that
then.
has happened. We're aware of it, and we're gonna have a deep dive
We're on
episode
it.
next week where we're gonna yeah
We're on it.
think about our thoughts and reflections and discuss it in more
Yeah,
detail.
definitely. Life has some. We're firing through these. This is a good pace. Actually, we're doing well.
Yeah, I
This
like
is a
it.
good, strong pace.
Quick.
Life have new ownership. We're very sad to see Nick go. Nick, I thought, did a superb job at Life. Patients really liked the way in which he was engaging with the industry, really impressive element of advocacy and openness and honesty about what Nick was doing. So we were sad to see Nick go and obviously congratulated him on the work he had done, like Nick a lot. And the team, we've met a bunch of the team, haven't we, over the past sort of 6 months and really, really impressed with them. Very interested to see where Life goes in terms of that leadership. I think Katch and I were aligned, and we've kind of said this to Life over the years, that we think it's really important for cannabis companies, clinics to have a human face and to really engage with the community. This kind of like faceless, behind the scenes, no one really knows who's doing what and no one really knows the positions. And it's kind of like just big corporation type approach, we think doesn't really work very well or not any, I don't want to be like, doesn't belong in the industry. People can conduct themselves however they want and run businesses how they see fit. But I think the industry really, the patients in particular, really appreciate a face and an openness and a transparency. And we're kind of hoping that life follows in the footsteps that Nick led. That's not the right turn of phrase, but you know what I mean? Follows in Nick's footsteps and kind of put someone in that organization, a team in that organization that will positively engage with patients. So we're kind of like, it's a bit of a, just kind of waiting to see what direction. Medbud Wiki did that wild post in the Medbud Wiki did a wild post that was like, here's all the details of the administration stuff, and like here's, so there's like there's a lot of information that
Yeah,
fired
lots of
from life.
digging.
Yeah,
But yeah, hopefully they kind of continue on the path of really good comms and just engagement, and yeah, with a bit of a face and a presence in the industry. Um, but
definitely.
yeah, I guess moving on to good comms and engagement with the industry, we've got the Medical Cannabis Patients Alliance meeting that took place last Monday. We both spoke and answered questions on it. Yeah, I think it's just worth giving a shout out and to say that the meeting was really really excellent. Great discussion points raised. It was well attended, and I thought really professionally facilitated. There were clearly thought out, thorough questions, and yeah, great organization from the patient. So yeah, I think it's just important to give a shout out to that, and to highlight that they're kind of the main only patient group that are actively engaging with the industry positively. And I think that's a really interesting shift that we're seeing taking place as the sector develops, and patients wanting to actively engage and bring industry on, and hold them to account, but also celebrate and praise the good work that they're doing. So yeah, keep it up. It was a delight to be on, and I'm excited to see how they continue to develop.
Yeah, agree. Echo all those sentiments. Really looking forward to engaging with them. Really, really good, professional, positive group. Yeah, it's great
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, it was great to be on. And yeah, now moving on, firing through these
We really are
quickly. I
fine
love
through. We were like, we're going to
it.
have to get through this. We're going. It's fast.
So we've got a countdown. Yeah, so their 4C Labs have partnered with Pure Sun Farms, as a lot of the community will be aware of, and they'll be distributing some of Pure Sun Farms' big strains to the UK patient market. Um, and yeah, I guess, Paul, we've spoken about this extensively, but it's quite interesting to see that observation around how the market's changing in the UK and how it's becoming increasingly more competitive. I mean, if you look at MedBud Wiki, the the list of products is continuing to grow in the UK, and I think there's definitely some parallels with North America, kind of coming to Europe in that respect, with big strains kind of coming here now.
Definitely. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting time seeing the market enter that new phase of competition. And I think there are a lot of people that have business plans, visions, models, particularly here in the UK, around cultivation, who are now going to start to find the application of those business models increasingly challenging. I think there's been kind of a confidence that, you just get some UK cultivation on the go, we'll just grow and serve the
That's
market. I
yeah,
think that is going to be increasingly challenging as some of these, more popular strains that people know about and people have read about and heard about start hitting the market. And I guess with that, there's another observation we've had that is kind of concern. It's interesting and concerning, and that is the kind of like, my view is people's the endocannabinoid system is complicated and people are complicated. Our experiences, perceptions, feelings, emotions, conditions are complicated, and also very individualized and unique. And those two things clash in a way that people have lots of different experiences over different medications products in a medical world and in a recreational world. So I accept that variation, and I think that's a real thing. That's an interesting subject to explore. However, it's very interesting watching Reddit when competition enters the market, and there are so many wild posts that you see on Reddit that, and it's not it happens across a number of products that sometimes you can't help but look at them and thinking, is there another agenda here? Is this truly, genuinely an individual who has some sensible, thoughtful, useful input for the community? Or is it either someone just completely disgruntled and just wants to cause chaos? Or is it a rogue agent?
yeah.
Because
Someone
I
gets
would,
paid to say
yeah,
something.
some of the stuff, it's so odd and unusual in terms of its behavior. And I think
Yeah,
I
and
think
the
it's about
timing as well, like, yeah,
totally.
I mean, and this isn't unique to cannabis. I mean, Reddit has all sorts of kind of misinformation and and
Yeah,
ploys and
massively,
stuff, but it's
massively.
just interesting that we're seeing it actively in the cannabis
Yeah.
space.
Listen, I love Reddit. I'm on Reddit all the time. I'm on Reddit for all the things that I care about, all the weird hobbies that are behind me, like all my passions. I explore and examine on Reddit. But the Reddit is also a beast of complete anonymity and chaos, and it's very easily to manipulate that through targeted pieces of comms. And I think again, go back to that initial point I made around people are complex, people's experiences are complex. I think it's a really important message to get out to patients and engage with patients on just take everything you read that is anonymous with a pinch of salt, like, or even if it's not anonymous, just navigate the space with caution and curiosity, and particularly when there's just very strong opinions from people that clearly don't want to be open and honest about who they are. Take that with a pinch of salt, which is why I really like the MCPA stuff. I like the idea, they've got a great Discord. I like the idea of people taking more individual ownership of what they're saying rather than just kind of like the case of it. There's a very interesting. Sorry, that was really loud in my ears. My computer's made noise. There's a really interesting thread on Reddit. I think it came up today actually of someone basically making this same point of going, what is going on in it? What is going on in here? Like, why is this? Why are people posting such bizarre feedback or reflections over a medication that for a lot of people is individual? Can we just have a bit more positivity and like helpful engagement? So I think it's a conversation that a number of people are having.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very interesting, I'm keen to explore how we address this, or how we help people just seek their truth and their own experience a little clearer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, yeah, like you said, medication's individualized. And so one strain, one cultivar that works for one person won't work for another person. But that doesn't mean that we have to, name and shame the medication and say that no one should use it. Yeah, people's experiences are different. And yeah, and I think there is also just a lot of misinformation on Reddit. It's like the worst side of democracy.
Yeah, yeah, it's the
So
anonymity of it, which I'm not against. I think people should be able to say things anonymously. I think in it can be useful, but if you're, I think in this situation you have to take a big pinch of salt with anything that comes on there, particularly when new strains, formulations, cultivars launch. Stay away.
yeah.
Next up, Kanabo have partnered, or Treat It have partnered with a walk-in pharmacy, which is interesting. A cool innovation in the way in which we could mainstream cannabis, have people walk off the street straight into a pharmacy and arrange consultation engagement is interesting. Interesting to see how popular that is. There are some big challenges with that model, and I don't think it's as easy as just kind of opening it and launching it. I think there has to be a lot of consideration around how you appropriately engage the public. As we know all too well, capturing the work that we've done, that stigma is still a huge issue, no matter whether you're talking to clinicians, politicians, the public, even patients. Like, stigma has infiltrated
Absolutely.
society so strongly that it's really difficult to be like, hey, just walk in and get cannabis. Like, that is going to be a
People will be
very,
like, "Whoa, hold up.
yeah, yeah. Like, what?
What are
There's
you
just
talking about?"
instantly so many questions that the average member of the public has, and we've kind of moved in. I think in a marketing world, we've moved away from people offering you things on the street to people offering you things online. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, there's still people. Do you want to buy this? But I just dodge them like you won't believe. Do you know what I mean? Do you? Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, I'll pull out my phone, I'm like,
yeah,
Sorry, I'm on a
headphone.
phone call."
Still try and talk to me. I've got my headphones on. Mum, I've got my headphones on.
Yeah,
Listen,
so I
say this.
think especially in London, like, no one wants to be stopped on the
No one wants to be stopped in
street.
London. Yeah, as soon as you stop, you like, it's a scam. What is a scam? However,
Yeah.
so I think there are big challenge. There are some big challenges there, but it's very interesting to see that element of normalization and offer. So we're keen to see how that plays out, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting and kinda creative, cool concept, with the industry, so, yeah, excited to see how it rolls out.
Definitely.
Um, Moving on, we've got
Subject
the
change for this one.
Swiss
Change of
cocaine
pace.
pilot. A little change of pace, change of drug. Thought we'd throw it in there. Yeah, Switzerland or Bern specifically has announced potentially looking at gathering evidence around cocaine, not cocaine legalization, but piloting a legal cocaine scheme. Um, to allow for the sale of cocaine for recreational use. Bern Parliament have supported the idea. still needs to overcome a lot of opposition from the city government, and it would require, change to national law and all of this. So who knows if it will happen? It's a nice clickbaity title. But yeah, I mean, positive in the sense that Switzerland's looking to re-examine drug laws, seeing them as ineffective. They've obviously been spearheading with cannabis experiments. So yeah, they've just kept going and gotten to cocaine as well, which I didn't know. I looked at the Reuters article, and Switzerland has some of the highest levels of cocaine use in Europe.
Really, a
I
lot of
guess maybe
bankers.
because it's, yeah, a lot of bankers, a lot of money, and apparently a dose of cocaine is becoming as affordable as a price of beer. So I
Their
don't know what
beer
that
is
says
really
about the coke.
expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what that says about the cocaine prices or the prices of beer in Switzerland. Um, but hey ho, same price. But yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, yeah, it's interesting that they're gathering evidence, and I mean, there's no evidence around cocaine legalization, so I guess someone has to do it. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not sure how a government would implement like effective small doses of cocaine consumption. But it's, yeah, a cool piece of news.
It's very interesting. Governments regulating cocaine is something that I am highly skeptical of. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm still not convinced on cocaine, despite me being a drug policy advocate, and decriminalisation would be a very sensible step forward. I'm very skeptical of cocaine being available to the public, simply because I don't.
You can't trust the
True.
public.
We can't, well, it's just not like any other drug. Who cocaine users don't do small amounts of cocaine.
Yeah,
They don't. They're people like, oh, I'll just do a line of coke. It's just not it's not
yeah.
what
Get it from my
what
local
people do.
pharmacy, and then
Yeah, and they act like, oh, I
go to
wish this
bed.
cocaine was weaker. Yeah, anyway, for another time.
Anyways, for another time, another episode.
Yeah, the Netherlands Dutch pilot experiment has launched, which is a big moment for Europe and cannabis reform in general. There's a lot of misconceptions around the Netherlands with the general public. People assume, oh, it's already legal. It's been legal there forever. The Netherlands is the place where you can just get cannabis, but obviously it's never quite been as simple as that. There's been lots and lots and lots of efforts to get the Netherlands to where they are, and pilot programs are great. They're going to give us some evidence. I'm always frustrated just by the word pilot programs, though, because I just wish they would. What do they call
Just
what they've
go
been
for it.
doing for all these years? If it's not, what I mean, oh, we need to do a pilot
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, because I think the Netherlands has a lot of evidence already. Like
Yeah, like nice.
cannabis is
Look
pretty
at what you've been
freely
doing. Yeah,
available, and like the heavens haven't fallen.
yeah,
Like
it's
people are
it's
fine.
all fine. But it's it is a good landmark moment. Someone being able to go in and kind of legally, without the kind of huge grey area in which the coffee shops were operating, and hope that that leads to sensible reform outside
Yeah.
the pilot. Hopefully expands. But
Yeah,
again, we'll keep an eye
definitely.
on it. We will
Yeah, but yeah, positive news. Lots of positive news for Europe.
all good news.
And lastly, but not least, very quickly, the U.S. has acknowledged cannabis is a less harmful drug than opioids. There's been lots of discussion around cannabis reform in the U.S. as 2024 is a big year for political decisions. There's lots of ballots being put forward for later in the year for recreationally legalizing other states. So we're starting to see a real shift around how public bodies are perceiving cannabis. The US Department for Health and Human Services, the HHS, have supported the proposal for cannabis being descheduled to Schedule 3, which will make it easier to do medical research, easier for prescribing, and just, a general sentiment that cannabis is a safer alternative to a lot of prescription medications. So yeah, good positive news. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some push at a federal level, which we're already seeing. So yeah, good news is the US is kind of always paving the way for cannabis reform. So it's good to see this sort of recognition, and we'll
Agree.
keep an
Big,
eye on it
big,
further.
big year in the US. A discussion for another time is my fear of the right pushing back against cannabis as they associate cannabis reform with sort of some of the failings of the harm reduction model, which isn't a very popular thing to say, but it's a kind of well evidenced thing to say that public and political sentiment among what's taking place in the west on the west coast of America is incredibly unpopular, and worry that the association with the cannabis movement is going to get lumped in with that and go, oh, I don't trust those guys. Look what's happened. pushes back. So big year in the US, big year in Europe, Germany in particular, Czech Republic. This is such a crucial moment in cannabis reform
Yeah,
globally.
and it's exciting. We'll be keeping an eye on it and
Yeah.
reporting back, and we'll do a longer form piece around kind of general political sentiment and the effects that that might have.
We will. And we did it. 20
Cool.
minutes. Bang. Straight
Done.
through. Bosh. Good job. Well done, my
We'll
friend.
we will see you back in 2 weeks' time.
See you in 2 weeks. Cheers, everyone.